Perfect.
So and just the up arrow to advance.
Down arrow.
Down arrow to advance. All right. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for having me back. It's been 3 years.
3 years. Welcome back.
Thank you. We were just wearing masks back then. It's hard to think that we've gone through so much. So my name is Christy Shiano, and I am the owner of Mindful Movement Center. And it is a yoga therapy wellness consultancy. So the next question I get a lot of time is, well, what is yoga therapy? Everyone hears yoga and they think it's a bunch of fancy postures, but yoga is a lot more than that. Yoga therapy, to kind of summarize it, is the use of yogic methodologies to ease suffering and pain in all the layers of our being. Well, again, everyone thinks it's a bunch of poses, makes my back feel better. But the layers of our being are the physical body, which I just mentioned, if you have a physical issue, mental, your thoughts, people have anxiety, our emotional awareness, if you deal with stress and things of that nature, spiritual, which has nothing to do with religion. It's the story you tell yourself. I can't, or I don't want to, avoiding all that fun stuff. So, and then the energetic, which are chakras and our energy center. So there's different tools in our yogic toolbox to help us find peace and ease. So that is what yoga therapy is. So I just went through the difference between the two, but why is it helpful? It's a holistic approach. So we look at the whole person. We just talked about nutrition with Brian, right? I'm not a nutritionist and I have a wealth of resources that I can bring to bear, but just talking to people and getting them to see, well, hey, how do you feel when you eat this? What has happened in the past? Oh, maybe I don't feel that great. Maybe I try something different. So we look at things holistically. It's not just one thing. We don't diagnose. We're not doctors, but we help people gain insight into what's causing them discomfort and help them find some peace. So what have I been doing in 3 years? So really, what I've been focusing on is not just one-on-one clients, because yoga therapy is one-on-one, but I have been working mostly with professionals. My consistent clients are a CEO, a COO, and they come to me for stress, family issues, even physical training. I'm an ex-Ironman athlete. So, my feet hurt. What about that? Having issues with dealing with some people at my workplace. What's a different way to approach that? I'm a retired ex-corporate person, so I can bring to bear that as well. My focus was on 55 plus community. So back when I was here 3 years ago, I had started working with a 55 plus community. That did not work out. And I also specialized in working with athletes. As I mentioned, I'm a retired Ironman athlete. So those are my 3 areas that I focus on. So, okay, well, hey, what happens with professionals? Stress, anxiety, and it has a real impact on the mind, body, and spirit, on our businesses and our communities. And so what do I do for them to help them? So there are different packages. I work with people individually. My client, that's a CEO, hired me to come in and speak to his company for a wellness day. So I put together a whole wellness day for his people to get in touch, and they found it helped them with their work, right? So it was very interesting. I got some feedback from one of his employees, and she was like, I find I'm going off the handle on my coworkers a lot. I'm like, well, what do you mean off the handle? She's like, well, I'm not being the nicest. I give them an assignment and it's not done in a certain way. And I find that I'm not really dealing with it the best. She was having some stuff in her personal life that was going out to those people too. So helping her find some tools in the home life helped her be kinder to her coworkers, which helped increase her 360 score. So there was a benefit there. Aging communities, 55 plus community. Well, that's a transition, right? We're just talking about transitions here in Davidson. The phase of your life changes, right? There are seasons to our lives. And working with 55 plus communities, I put together packages for them to help with their healthcare costs as well. One of my clients at a 55 plus community has a wellness and HSA. So yoga is involved in that, signed off, and put together some solutions for those communities. So they have yoga classes, or we talk about wellness. How do you transition with the care of an older parent, or your child is now caring for you? Lots of different things that we do there. And then finally, for athletes. So we put together packages for people that are looking to increase performance or recovery. More science has come out about how important recovery is. It's not just, running 40 miles. It's how much time are you taking to recover? What are you doing for recovery? as a yoga therapist, we have exposure into all chronic conditions. We go deep into anatomy, all kinds of different things as a holistic approach. And you can read that for yourself, but I like to tell a real life story. We're in a football town, and it was actually a Miami Dolphins game. And this is very interesting. He threw a bad pass and it got intercepted, and you could see the player go like this, like really, really upset. And he looked at the coach, and the coach went like this. And you saw the player calm down, pick up the ball, and threw a great pass, and they move forward. So what is that? Why does that have to do with yoga therapy? Think about this yourself. If you are stressed and you are in a bad state, mentally, physically, how can you execute? Typically not well. Can you make good decisions? Typically not great. But if you can center yourself, the coach did a breath, get centered, able to focus and execute. So same thing with sports, same thing with executives, same thing with older people. It's all yoga. It's just being able to connect and find a tool to pull from your toolbox to help you find some peace and ease. So those are some of the solutions that we provide. Now, just some quotes from some clients, and I pulled one from each of the populations that I serve. And it's very interesting to chat with clients and to work with clients and see them find a higher quality of life. So I'm not going to read those. I'll just give you a moment and you can read them out yourself. And if you have any questions about some of the people that I've worked with, I'm happy to talk. I do practice, we follow HIPAA guidelines, which means I don't give any personally identifiable information. I can say from an executive, I can say from someone else, but I can't give any personally identifiable information. So I'll just give everyone a second to read. And then I'm going to move forward. So this is I think the good one. And this is where I really am excited to come back and chat with you guys. What's happened in 3 years? Lessons learned. So my business for the 55 plus communities was impacted severely by COVID. I was in with the 55 plus community, and the lesson learned there was I didn't get to the right people. I stuck with the property manager, if you will, and people at corporate of that 55 plus community knew a woman in South Carolina who had a yoga studio, and then she took over all of it. Relationships, right? I didn't go to the right people that I knew I should have gone to. I just got stuck in the operational aspect. So a lesson learned there is you always have to find the right people that are going to put these programs in place, the value that it is for them, and not get stuck with the operational side of it. So that was a huge lesson learned. I was pulled back into corporate. So for 8 months, 9 months, oh, wait a minute. That was 6 months ago, I left, but I was pulled back there for 10 months working for someone else and let my business just be kind of a side hustle for a while. I could only work with a couple clients because I was working for another company full time. But the biggest insight was working with professionals has always been consistent. I mentioned the CEO and the COO, workshops and wellness days, but they come to me one-on-one, and they're very consistent clients because it seems that they have the most value from what yoga therapy can provide. They have limited time, limited ability to get somewhere. And I work with them virtually. So hop on a Zoom at 7 o'clock in the morning before you go into the office, and we do our work together. And I see them multiple times during the week. So that's very, very consistent thing. The other biggest lesson learned is scale. So working with one-on-one clients is great. That is the definition of yoga therapy. But in the 55 plus communities, for example, how do you scale that? And I shared the lesson learned from that 155 plus community is getting with the right people that put these programs in place, showing the value that it provides them, the value to the individual residents. We have a new Symphony Living going up right over here by us. And while that was being built, I was doing a lot of research and trying to find the right people.
I'll show you.
I let that one go. Pardon?
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I
Um,
can't- I'm on a webinar right now.
so Symphony Living, getting to the right people, it was so early on. You have your builder, your
Okay,
developer, and the management company. And I was doing research on who the builder was, found that out. The management company's now been in place. So it wasn't the appropriate time, but learning how to find those right people so I can scale, because again, one-on-one is great, but putting together these packages for the communities was where I wanted to go with my business. So that was the biggest lesson learned. So right now where I am is I had an opportunity to purchase a business actually that did clinical trials. My background's in healthcare, in technology, and that didn't work out. And now I'm looking at purchasing another business, but I do want to continue to grow mindful movement. And I'd love to open it up to the people here. The question is, how can you help me? I would love to hear people who had an idea and how they scaled it. Because to me, that's the challenge, right? Is I've had my career in sales. I know how to sell, but how do you scale your business in a thoughtful way and plan it in a thoughtful way? So that is everything. Did I cover anything, or anyone have any feedback or thoughts? That was pretty much my presentation.
Thank you. We'll open it up to some questions.